Good morning, everybody. It was the third day of reInvent and the second major keynote on machine learning by Swami. And this is our daily recap. Now, let's step it back a minute. Something Innowisdom is very, very proud of is developing talent and young talent, and especially local talent around the East Anglian and London area. Now, earlier this year, we launched a new initiative internally, and it's called Inno Academy. And basically, the objective of that initiative is to take graduates from university, give them that first leg in the ladder, teach them about technology, the cloud, teach them how to participate in IT projects, and most importantly, also give them that immersion into the business world so they understand business, the pressures of business, the opportunities in business, the commerciality of business. So we're very proud of In Academy, and we've had our first intakes in this year, and we've had one or two come through and already delivering to some of our greatest customers reliably, consistently, and really, really brightly. So that's always a great thing to see that progression of talent. That was one of the main themes actually from yesterday's keynote from Swami, was that it was about training, bringing on new younger talent into ML, because ML is going to be part of the future. So it's here today, but it's going to be part of the future of everybody's jobs and everybody's part of business. So it's very important that the barriers to entry are lowered, but lowered across the entire experience portfolio. And that's why we're quite excited. Things like SageMaker Labs announced yesterday, which is basically a free instance of SageMaker that allows people to get into SageMaker, start building models, start working through things and see what it can do, and taking those first steps into machine learning. And then when they're happy, they can obviously then upscale it and take it to the next level and productionize it. But it's really nice to see that as talent. They also launched their scholarship program again. Amazon have given a big commitment to train millions of people over the next 5 years to enter the industry, because we do know that we're still very much day one of this cloud journey. There are still lots more workloads, lots more opportunity, and lots more innovation. So it was very good to see that at the top of the keynote yesterday. In addition to that, we've been anticipating a lot of the announcements that were coming yesterday. An exciting one for us was the SageMaker editions. So something I obsess about, and for those who've ever seen some of my other public speaking, a lot of it is around the right kind of instance. There's lots and lots of different instances to type out there, and you can do a lot with them, but some of them can cost you a pretty penny as well. So it is about making sure that you want to spend that money wisely. I'm not saying don't spend it, but when you do spend it wisely. So it's good to see things like the training compiler and also the inference recommender to look at what's the best way of training those models, and then what's the best inference to use for the job. So that was a really two additions to Studio, and I think what that'll do is lower ultimately the costs for our customers, but also I think it will allow more people to understand what kind of benefits they can get from more different instances. Because at the moment, I think most people think, okay, CPU or non-CPU or GPU, and that's probably the main equation. But there's a lot more, and there's a lot more range out there. There's lots more instance types. There's the Trainium instance type that was made available on Adam's speech. We've had Infra 1 around a while. So there's lots more out there as to play with. And I think this will encourage a bit more of that playing. So that was really great to see. The other big one is SageMaker Serverless inference. We think that will be a big deal. And for those who saw it, I did a little bit of a 101 on how to use Lambda and SageMaker online. One of my YouTube videos covers this. And basically, SageMaker Serverless is basically, at the moment, is how to make that easier for the data scientists and the ML engineer to get into. At the moment, to do that kind of thing, you have to have a pretty deep knowledge, I would say, of Lambda, how that works, how Docker works, etc. Well, that's great, but SageMaker serverless kind of takes that away. All you need to really worry about is what algorithm you want to use and where your model is located on S3, and it will serve it up and do the inference for you. I did a little bit of a walk around it yesterday. There's some pretty strong caveats because it only is in preview, but it's like a start. One of them is that it doesn't have GPU at the moment. I assume that will be something added quite swiftly. And the other thing is it doesn't have some of those more advanced features that you'd see with SageMaker endpoints, for example, if you're going to do real-time inference. It doesn't have model monitoring support at the moment. You can't run it inside of VPC. I find that a bit weird, but it also doesn't have some of the it doesn't have like marketplace. You can't bring marketplace models to it, that kind of thing. So there is some limitations, and also it has a 6 gigabyte limit on the runtime. So just if you're out there playing with it, just be aware. I think it's very much in preview, and I expect to see it over the next 6 months to rapidly add those features, because I thought we'd all want them. So that's kind of cool. Wider field, we had lots of stuff also on data. It was like data and ML. Having had lots of data today before, it's a continuation of how important data is. It's absolutely important to analytics, empowering business innovation. Additional things we saw in the data space yesterday was we saw DynamoDB get a new class of storage that will allow it to store longer term data in cheaper storage. So that's quite interesting. Is that a table level? I'm expecting that to evolve maybe to an item level in time. But that's a nice way to lower service costs, because especially when you're doing some feature engineering, that kind of thing, you're storing lots and lots and lots of rows in DynamoDB, and if it's something that's not accessed that frequently, then it's probably a good use case for that kind of thing. So very excited to see that. And there's a new ML-powered database guru. That's kind of cool. So it will look and analyze your usage of RDS and let you know when something's going wrong, so you can get into more ML actually built into services. That was obviously another big theme. So all in all, it delivered on what we were expecting. We also got a bit more on Canvas and how Canvases work, and I'm planning to do a deep live early in the next couple of weeks to go through that in a little bit more detail. But that still looks really good, and I think on the whole it's really good. So that's Swami's keynote. Later today, there is also Vernon's keynote. So if you were paying really big attention in the middle of the night, and I haven't seen it myself because I was in bed at the time, there's Peter's keynote as well. So Peter normally focuses on the infrastructure and how AWS is built, and it's the geek fest really. If you really want to get into the engineering behind AWS, normally have a look at that. There was one announcement that I did spot. I haven't gone through the whole thing, did spot, and I think this is going to be a big theme, and then maybe will dovetail into Vernon's. So I think they're very much blending these keynotes in terms of themes together. Was carbon report. So for those of you who obsess about costs, there's Cost Explore and Cost Reporting currently inside the console, and you can dig deep. There is this new capability to also get your carbon report, which should be quite significant with sustainability, obviously. Maybe you can choose a different instance type if it has a slightly different carbon footprint. Maybe that's a trade-off we can start having in this, or we can understand how much a workload will take in terms of carbon costs, cloud versus on-prem. Cloud should win because they do use lots of renewable energy, but that'd be a good idea to get the total, not just the total cost of ownership, the total carbon footprint of ownership. And that will be, I think, coming through the sustainability programs, and we'll probably hear a bit more about that. So Peter kind of focused on that, but I expect just a little bit more sustainability at this point, because it's such a topic that everybody's talking about at the moment. And yeah, like I said, Bernard's keynote is 4:30 this afternoon. That should be good. I'm expecting some big stuff coming, so please stay tuned. Some of the stuff I've been expecting hasn't landed yet, so stay tuned for that. I think that's going to be very focused on the developer and developer tooling, so that should be quite exciting. So stay tuned for that. And then, before that, I'm featuring as a pundit on the ComSum coverage this afternoon. It kicks off at 1 p.m. on Twitch and YouTube, other channels. Go to ComSum.co.uk, tune in. I'll be taking part in the data and the ML and some of the IoT stuff as a pundit and giving my opinion. So I'll give you a bit more opinion on all the announcements from last night, especially once I've played a bit more with some of them this morning. So catch me then, and all the other lovely pundits. If anything else, it's normally a good laugh, a good chuckle. So come along, and we've got one or two guests as well to join us from AWS. So stay tuned and catch you tomorrow for a summary of this keynote. Bye for now.